Great.
We are now in record mode.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Friday, June 10th, 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Corzan and Reyes. President Garcia, you do have a quorum. President Garcia, at this time, we do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We also have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section and no callers on the line for any of the items for today's agenda as well.
Great, thank you, Dr. Campos. Moving on to the first item of today's agenda, it's the approval of the minutes of Friday, May 27, 2022. Is there a motion? Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward and forthwith?
Second.
I think that was you, Commissioner Corzan, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay, Dr. Campos, we have a first by me and a second by Commissioner Corzan to move the approval of the minutes forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Campos. Now we're starting with our first item of today's business. By the way, happy Friday. It's been a long week. It's the ending of the Summit of America. So if you've seen a lot of traffic out in downtown area, just know that it should probably now settle down as of this afternoon, perhaps even, over the weekend, but just, we'll get better traffic next week. This week was a bit tough. But with that saying, we'll start with our first agenda item, which is a joint report by the Bureau of Street Services and the Bureau of Contract Administration for a personal service contract Redeemer Community Partnership for the Normandy Beautiful Project. Recommending the board, and this is in Council District 8, recommending the board to 1, award a sole source personal service contract for 3 years for as needed community engagement services to Redeemer Community Partnership for the Normandy Beautiful Project. 2, forward the proposed personal service contract to the mayor's office pursuant to Mayoral Executive Directive number 3 via Raigosa series. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the personal services contract. And here we have Ms. Feng on today's item. Ms. Feng, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria Feng, and I'm a Senior Management Analyst 2 with the Administration Division of the Bureau of Street Services. And today I will be presenting this report to recommend the award of a 3-year sole source personal services contract to Redeemer Community Partnership for as needed community engagement services for the new Normandy Beautiful Project. The Normandy Beautiful Project aims to transform a 2-mile stretch of Normandy Avenue and a network of its surrounding neighborhood streets with traffic safety and streetscape improvements, roadway reconstruction, better pedestrian and bicyclist accessibility, and multimodal enhancements. In November of 2019, the City Council approved the use of up to approximately $1 million in taxable CRA LA excess bond proceeds to be utilized for this project. And in 2020, we submitted an application to Cycle 5 of the California Transportation Commission's Active Transportation Program, or ATP, to request $17 million in grant funding for further complementary pedestrian and bicycle safety improvements. The ATP grant would expand the area of the CRA funded portion of the project with additional streets and neighborhoods. The ATP funded portion would additionally address traffic safety, since this area was identified as a priority corridor on the city's high injury network. Some of the key enhancements would include shade tree planting, signal modifications, class 2 bike lanes, curb extensions, and pedestrian safety beacons, among other improvements. And while we received a perfect score in the community engagement component, we were 1 point away from winning a Cycle 5 award. And as we speak, we are working on resubmitting the project again in Cycle 6. Since the beginning of the Normandy Beautiful Project, we have worked with Redeemer Community Partnership for community engagement and outreach. Redeemer is a community-based organization with nearly 30 years of experience working in the South LA communities, including the area where this project is proposed. And for this project, Redeemer has facilitated a robust and sustained community-led design process to identify safety concerns of the community and propose context-specific design improvements. It would benefit the city to continue to utilize Redeemer for engagement work if awarded the ATP Cycle 6 funding to further inform and shape the project from design to construction. And even if we don't receive a Cycle 6 award, we still plan to utilize Redeemer services for the requested 3-year term to continue work on the CRA funded portion of the project. Redeemer has previously led engagement and outreach activities for our Jefferson Beautiful Streetscape project that went on to successfully win a $6 million award in ATP Cycle 3. And to maintain the meaningful community relationships and contacts established during the engagement work done on this project thus far, we are requesting the award of this contract to continue utilizing Redeemer, who is uniquely qualified to support our efforts to enhance public health and safety for the Normandy Beautiful project. And this concludes my report. Thank you for your time. Please let me know if you have questions.
Thank you, Ms. Fang, for that. Any questions, colleagues? I'm not hearing any, but I do have a question. So on here, I see Villaraigosa series. What is that? I was just confused.
That is just for the ED3 approval that we need to forward to CAO. That's typically part of the contract process.
Okay. And why is it called Villaraigosa? Just, I understand he's a former mayor, but is that why?
Just because the ED3 approval was, I guess ED3 was executed by him.
Right.
Okay, okay, got it. Okay, just getting it clear. And what's the total amount of the contract?
It is $224,550
For 3 years?
for 3 years.
Okay, got it. Okay, I don't see any questions from anyone. All right, are there any objections to this item? Hearing none either. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 1 forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second on this item?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fang, for being here. Is this your first time?
Yes,
I thought so. All right, well, welcome. You did really good.
thank you.
Good. We hope to see you again soon. All right, have a good weekend. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 2. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering, the Bureau of Street Services, and Council District 14. This is a street closure extension on 7th Street Streetscape Improvements Project, recommending the board to 1, authorize the extension of the temporary full closure of 7th Street from San Julian to San Pedro Street through June 30th, 2022 for the construction of the 7th Street Streetscape Improvements Project. And we have Arson here and Ms. Lamb. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Arsen Waskirchen. I'm the principal civil engineer with the Street Improvement Division of the Bureau of Engineering. We're here today for requesting authority to extend the temporary closure, the street closure on 7th Street between San Pedro and San Julian. We came to the board back in April to request the authority to close this street to allow for construction work to proceed. And so the current closure authority is set to expire on June 14th, 2022. However, the work that DWP, the Department of Water and Power, was performing in advance of our contractors' work took longer than expected. And so the contractors' work was delayed. And so that was the primary reason why you're asking for the extension so that the contractor can complete the contract work. However, unfortunately, since we submitted this report, there's been some additional site complications with trash and debris preventing the contractor from being able to also proceed with the work. And so we've had some additional delays as well as some site safety issues that the contractor's been dealing with. And so they've had to stop work on several occasions to be able to clean up the debris and the trash, or in a couple instances, or actually one instance, we've had to actually have LAPD come out to assist the contractor and protect the contractor while they're able to close up, button up the work, and leave the site for safety reasons, and then return to do the work. And so if agreeable, we would ask that the extension be actually to July 15th, 2022 instead of June 30th. And I'll pass it over to Winnie to provide a little bit more information on the events that have happened, and as well as the community outreach that we plan to do for this extension. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions as well. Winnie?
Yes, good morning. Winnie Lam with the Bureau of Engineering Street Improvement Division. I'm going to go over the background of this project to remind the board that this is a $12 million multimodal transportation project. It will add pedestrian and bicycle safety improvement on 7th Street. The first phase of the project is from Figueroa Street to San Pedro Street. That's 13 blocks on 7th Street. The scope of work include protected bike lanes with concrete curb, 13 bus island, 65 pedestrian lights, and 80 new trees. And the construction starts the first block from San Pedro Street to St. Julian Street, and it will work westward. So in this first location, we had a 8 weeks, we requested an 8 weeks temporary road closure. And unfortunately, there were some unforeseen situation, and I'm gonna go over. The first one is that LA DWP water construction crew were urgently reassigned to another city of LA project. Therefore, delayed the completion of the relocation. It is an underground utility, it's a water line, mainline relocation. It's on the north and south side of the street. So it's pretty extensive. The contractor for this project, LA Engineering, was unable to proceed with the contract work during this time because the LA DWP materials and equipment remain in conflict with the work that LA Engineering needed to do. Eventually, yes, LA DWP Water, finished the work on the site, and were able to leave the site. And this is when LA Engineering started their work. Now, you might ask why can they work side by side? And it's because the work site is very small, and it wouldn't be safe for the contractor to be moving their backhoe, or the truck or the equipment right next to another team. That's why initially we asked for the 16-day extension for the street closure, but very much on this, in this week, we had 2 incidents. One was basically a resident assaulted our superintendent, with throwing debris and trash, at him. So, our construction had to stop. And I believe even at this time that LA engineering contract, superintendent has resigned. So there's a little bit of a something that we have to deal with the debris and the people. So we have isolated, that situation in the terms of, the resident might be targeting that particular superintendent. So hopefully we can proceed better now. And we do have a fenced-in area, and that area is supposed to be secure by the contractor. So that's something that our contractor has to maintain safety for the employees too. Now, I think, Ars mentioned, yes, we have debris outside of the fencing. So we are working with LA Sanitation and also with the contractor to quickly remove debris for safety. And so with all these complications, that's why we are asking another 14 days. Oh, and I do want to go over the public outreach. And with this is that we plan to, after the board approved, that we will go visit the businesses on 7th Street, and we're going to pass out our new construction schedule. And we also have banners for their window to show that business is open during construction. We want to make sure that, the business along the corridor is taken care of. So we'll be doing that next week. And also we have, BOE has hired consultants to do the continuous public outreach throughout the duration of this construction phase. So a e-blast will be sent out with the updated schedule. And also we have an active hotline, and we've been receiving phone calls, questions, and concerns. And so we have that all set up. And so I asked the board to authorize this extension for the temporary full closure of 7th Street from San Julian to San Pedro, so that we can continue and finish with this block's construction. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nam, for that very thorough report. I see Dr. Davis has questions. I just want to say, first of all, a quick question. The superintendent was that our BOE or was a contractor that resigned?
The contractor.
Okay, wow. I hope he's okay, and please send our regards to our contractor as well. And I'll just go with I'm gonna go with Dr. Davis's questions, and I'll come back to just maybe provide some other recommendations. Dr. Davis?
Yeah, I thank you both for the report as well. And I do notice that you did mention a public safety issue. I was under the impression, I did read a report that there was a resident who assaulted what I thought was a staff member of Bureau of Sanitation. I may be mixing incidences, but in fact, if I have, fine, but I still have to address this issue of public safety. My understanding was from at least one report I read, if it was not this one or not, that LAPD did write a report on the incident. So I was unable to determine, though, however, what happened after having written that report. Was the resident apprehended? What happens after that? Does the report go to the city attorney's office? What do they do? So that then when these issues are presented to us, it would be helpful to know what absolute action took place, not that LAPD took a report. What happened after that? There are too many cases where people have had parking tickets and almost gotten arrested, that someone could just hit a city employee, or in this case, if the person is a contractor, he or she is working on behalf of the city. And in many ways, you still hit a city employee. And as far as I am concerned, and that probably may hold up in a court of law as well, because you're acting and paid for with public funds. So I have addressed it appropriately with the email with what I have received, but want to mention this first and foremost before we delve into some of the issues as it relates to the bicycle safety, public safety of our employees, both those working directly with the city and those working for the city, even if they don't have a city badge, is critically important first and foremost to those of us, and I think I speak for the board, here on the Board of Public Works. And we expect to not only hear that a police report was taken, we expect in these reports to know what the police did, if anything, when we have some kind of report that someone has been hit. And I understand the element of evidence, but I just think that that's important first to mention. Now, as it relates to the bicycle proposal that you have presented to us, and you have mentioned that St. Julian and San Pedro is the area. Do we have a master plan in terms of the work and construction work that we're doing around bicycle pathways that the city has? Do we have a master plan that you know?
I can try to answer that. All master plan is usually done by LADOT.
Got it.
So when we get the funding, when LADOT gets the funding, they hand it to BOE to execute, because we have construction managers, project manager to deliver the project. So I could reach out to LADOT and see if there is a comprehensive plan that goes through 7th Street or connects to 7th Street.
Well, let me just compliment the team in terms of the work and the planning that we put into this particular project. I do understand that it is important to have the right environment in which the construction can take place. And it should not be an environment where we're competing against another team that has a different task that they are performing that will not allow our team on this project to focus on what they're doing and to do their very best work. So I get the issue that had been presented in your report here as to how the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power project caused some challenge, and that we needed to have let that issue move forward before we're able to master completing this one. So I am following you on that. And again, I wanted to compliment you in terms of collaborating to make sure that we, along the path, have the tree planting that you have mentioned that goes along with this. And as we make sure that we have a bike path here in this area of the downtown area, wanted to have a better understanding in terms of if there was a master plan that DOT has as it relates to what we envision in terms of making the path successful in the downtown area for bicyclists in terms of their ability to successfully move from a transportation perspective. And I would think that this project that you're presenting to us fits into that master plan in a way. And we know that in the past, we've had some concerns about our need to focus more on not only vehicular traffic and not only buses and trains, but every form of transportation. So as I listen to you in terms of supporting this project, which we do, I want to understand it from not only the micro perspective of what you present, but also from the macro perspective of what kind of impact we're making in the work that we're doing in general, as it relates to our concern and our focus with doing projects like this. So in summary, I support the project, and we look forward to the continued work that we have on similar issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. Okay, Carson and Arsen and Winnie, do you want to respond to that, or you guys were okay?
Sure, I can mention a couple things just to note. We'll definitely work with DOT to see if there's a comprehensive master plan overall. This project does span almost entirely through downtown on 7th Street. So the work of this project alone will provide that bicycle and pedestrian and multimodal connection throughout 7th Street for the majority of the core downtown area. So that is, and then it does connect to several other streets that do intersect it, which do also have either bicycle lanes already in place or upcoming projects that will connect bicycle paths to 7th Street with those intersecting streets. So that there is connections to the bicycle paths that we're creating here. And this project itself will also span for most of the core of the downtown LA portion of 7th Street. And in terms of the safety issues, that's a priority for us too. And so we're working definitely with the contractor, with our partners at sanitation, the council office, with DOT, and now also with the police department. We understand that when the police department was called onto the site, that the property manager nearby of one of the residential buildings was able to identify the person, and so the police department was able to identify who assaulted the contractor, and so they were able to follow up with that individual. We heard that they were going to be following up with the individual at the residence and investigating further. We don't know yet what came out of that investigation afterwards, but we do know that LAPD was able to identify the individual at least and planned to pursue them afterwards. And so we will follow up to see what came out of that, but that's the latest information that we have. This happened on Wednesday of this week, and so it is a very recent incident that occurred, and so we're still trying to get all the facts and gather the data, and our inspectors were on site too and documented the information. And so we have the reports from the police department, from our inspectors, as well as the contractor.
So we have a person that's been hit. We don't know what happened. They still are out in the community, and a superintendent quit.
Essentially, yes. We know that the contractor was on site doing their work, and then an individual approached them and verbally assaulted and started throwing items at them. And so that's when the contractor called the police department. The police department arrived on scene. was able to provide safety for the contractor to be able to close up the work and secure the site and then leave the site. And then the individual that was allegedly assaulting the contractor was identified. And so the police department was going to be investigating that individual afterwards.
Well, I'm not going to argue it here because this is not the police commission, but I will just simply say there are many areas of town that would find that a very interesting interaction and communication. And I'll just leave it at that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Davis and Arson Momini for those responses as well. Any other questions, Commissioner Reyes?
You're muted.
You're muted, Ms. Reyes.
Sorry about that. Has there been a move to do outreach to the business improvement district? Is that subject to that? So that has been done. So because we're talking about the businesses around the area as well.
Yes, there has been extensive outreach done in advance of the project as we were getting closer to construction. And after today, if this extension, and so the community knows about the closure that's in place now. And if the extension is approved, we will follow up with the outreach again to notify the community of the extension. As Winnie was mentioning, we have banners and flyers that we'll be passing out to the businesses so that they can display that their businesses are open during the construction. There will be email blasts going out. We have a hotline set up for any questions from the community. And so the outreach efforts will start immediately after approval of the extension again.
And you will be looking into the feedback and trying to resolve if there are issues, right, on that specific process. And then the second thing is, I know there is a move recently to establish the Unified Project Coordination Office for the mobility plan. Is this related to that?
Not yet. This is prior to that effort. And so this is that effort, as far as I know, has not started yet.
Okay, because I think that will be one of the solutions that will be beneficial when it comes to what Commissioner Davis mentioned as delays caused by other departments, which is really concerning. And so that coordination piece, forming that office is going to be key to ensure that there are no delays, or if there are delays, that we could catch up with the timetable and look at the milestones that are of the deliverables, right? Is there a way that you could see if this is going to fall under that, even though it was before that, or is it too late to do that? And another solution is to form a semi-working team of that nature, right? So that then all the agencies that are working on this project are notified and will collaborate more on the project deliverables.
Yes, and so currently it's the latter. We are working with the various departments right now on this project. In the future, this may fall into that combined effort. However, in this case, we are working with DWP, with DOT and the council office on the work that we're trying to coordinate with DWP. The work that DWP is doing, the water line relocation, is partly associated with this project because essentially they're relocating their water lines so that they are no longer underneath some of these new bus pads and islands and improvements that we're constructing on the street. And so DWP is trying to move those water lines out of the way in advance of our work. And we're trying to coordinate the street closures and community impact so that we do everything within the same site at the same time. And so this was the first block where we were attempting that. And unfortunately, because Water and Power was called to a different location, they had to pull off the job here, which delayed the work on this first block. We are working with the Water and Power team to ensure that they stay on the job for the future blocks of this project. And so we're working with them daily right now to coordinate and plan the traffic control efforts, the closures for the remaining blocks, and our schedule coordination between their work and our contractor And we'll be coming back to the board most likely in the near future for that discussion and for authorities on the future blocks. What we're planning to do is actually close off 2 blocks at a time or multiple blocks at a time, so that we can allow BWP to do the work on one block while our contractor's doing the work on the other block, and then we can flip the work. And so that way they're not in each other's way, but we are doing it as one closure, one traffic control plan, so that it minimizes the impact to the community and that we can get in and get out hopefully sooner, as soon as possible. So we're definitely coordinating with the agencies on this project. And we're trying to learn as we go with the site conditions and the challenges that we're facing, trying to adapt to those and formulate a plan to move forward with those lessons learned.
That's good. And the last thing that I want to say is on safety training. When, for projects, whether it's staff or contractors, is that part of the work that we do, and who's responsible for that?
Yes, our Bureau of Contract Administration, the inspection team, has a safety tailgate that they conduct before the work gets started. And so that is all part of every project. Before any project gets started, Bureau of Contract Administration holds a conference with the contractor, with the team, the project team, for the safety concerns on the project.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Vice President Villegas.
Thank you. And thanks to the Bureau for the report and just for bringing this to our attention. I just wanted to, I don't have questions, I just want to provide additional context. This project was brought forth just through various grants from CD14. And through those grants, they were able to cobble just many grants to be able to bring this project forward. So since the project just started, I think we've started to see some of the information that we heard before us today. And I think it's because of that that the Bureau is coming back to us to sort of provide an extension. Although we don't like closing streets to businesses, just the delays that we heard about today really bring that reasoning in terms of establishing and giving that a little bit more time. And I don't say that lightly, because a little bit more time means the street is closed and it may impact businesses. But I would just urge BOE and any of your additional partnerships. I know that you're going to be walking 7th Street, 7th and San Pedro, if you can. If you hear any kind of feedback, impacts from the business, just let us know either through email to Dr. Campos, additional information. I think that would be helpful.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
And then when appropriate, I just wanted to make that motion, President Garcia, just to extend the street closure till July 15th.
All right. Yes, I'll go with Commissioner Corson, and then we'll come back to you, Vice President. Commissioner Corson.
Thank you. Some good questions were asked. I was hoping my 2 questions would be asked, but one is, what is, in terms of project cost, the extension of a month as it goes into the contingency, what is the cost impact?
That's yet to be negotiated with the contractor. There is some concurrent impacts, and so we have to negotiate with the contractor in terms of how much of this time is going to be on the city, how much is going to be on the contractor, and how much is going to be a shared responsibility. And so that's something we'll have to come back with additional information once we're able to negotiate some of this out with the contractor.
Okay. I have 2 more questions. The next one is, in the packet, CD14 had approved or acknowledged that they were okay with the extension to the end of the month. Have they given their approval to extend it to the new date?
We've had discussions with them, but it's been verbal, and so we'll get that confirmation in writing afterwards.
Okay. And then my final question, I'm a little confused, and I think there was, from what I heard and from what I read, it was a little bit different. The DWP work started before or in conjunction with the closure And when did we know that there was going to be a delay versus when the contractor found out?
Winnie, do you want to take that one and then I can fill in?
Yes, so DW Water did start before a contractor so that they can get ahead of it. But in the middle of it, after the second or third week, their contract schedule, our contractor schedule overlapped with DWP. And so they eventually were able to be in the road closure. So previously they were doing their own TCP, temporary traffic control. But as the time progressed, it did overlap with our contract work. And so we, of course, they had to go first because it's underground work. And so in those earlier weeks, it was purely utility relocation and power also had power vault repair, as you see on the previous report. So they took the north side to do their power repair, power vault repair, and then the south side, they were able to do some work on the south side. And so, but eventually power is done. And so then the water crew moved to the north side to finish the relocation on the north, because we have two transit platform on north and south. So that's the complication. And there's work from power also on the north side.
Yeah, and I think that might have been where some of the confusion was. Power started the work earlier, and so they were able to get in and do that work earlier under some of their own traffic control. And similar with water, they started some of the work under their own traffic control. And so the hope was that they would get this work started earlier and be able to do that. But as we got closer to our contractor's start time, then the contractor essentially took over the traffic control and closed off the streets. And at that point, water was still needed to complete their work. And so water continued to work. But at that point, even though the contractor set up the traffic control, because water's work was so extensive and their equipment was so extensive, the contractor wasn't able to actually start the work at that point. And so while they set up the traffic control, closed off the street, and then allowed DWP to come in and do the water relocation lines, and the contractor had to sit back and just ensure the site was there and available for DWP while DWP did the work. And then I would say there was, I think when it was about 3 weeks into the work where DWP was pulled off for 2 weeks to go to a different project. And so that's essentially when we knew, I think this was late May, where we knew that there was going to be an impact to the contractor being able to complete the work within the June 14th deadline. And so that's when we started preparing for this extension.
Okay. It doesn't sound like this is a normal occurrence. It sounds like this is just one of those random things that just happen. So I don't know what best practices could essentially be learned from this. I would like to know in the future if a department that is not under our purview is already doing work in an area that we're going to do street closures. However small, it would be good to have that in the report just so that we know, something random could happen, especially when we're now talking about an increase in costs or other cost negotiations that have to take place. So that would just be helpful for me going forward. And, I don't mean to add just an extra layer of things for you to prepare for us, but if it's, we can always talk about like how easy it is or how difficult it would be just to track all of that, but just throwing that idea out there. Thank you.
Sure. And again, to clarify one more note, the work that DWP is doing here at this location is part of this project. So it wasn't that they were doing a separate project and then we came in with our project and it happened to be at the same time at the same place. The work they're doing is related to this street project, and they're doing that work in advance because they have to do the underground work before our contractor comes in to do the surface work. And so this was part of the project. The idea was they would come in advance, do their work, and then get out of the way for the contractor to be able to do the surface work. The complication is the traffic control in this area and being able to do all of that work within this location. And so that's where we established that it would be better for everyone for our contractor to do the full traffic control, close off the site, allow DWP to finish the work, move forward, and at the same time, then our contractor come in and finish the surface work. So again, this is all part of the same project, and that's why we're trying to coordinate with DWP for the remaining blocks, because we realized that working within one block closure within for both DWP and our contractor crew, it doesn't work. There's too many space limitations. There's too many complications with the equipment to be able to do all of the work on the same block at the same time. And so that's one of the lessons that we've learned and are implementing moving forward, is that we need to do multiple blocks at the same time so that DWP can do their work in advance and our contractor can follow right after that, but they're not in each other's way on the same block.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Corson, for that. Arsen and Winnie, I just want to add a couple things. As you move forward in mitigating the situation, one security and one the coordination with DWP, I would want to see what that looks like once you've kind of worked it out, because I know this is something that just happened. But I'm concerned that DWP pulled out of such an important project we had in cost delays. Were they aware that that was going to happen?
I believe so. To be fair, they were pulled off to another high priority project. We understand they were pulled off to do some work for the 6th Street Viaduct project, which also has significant cost risks associated with that project. And so I think the urgency of that project was probably just as urgent and had probably more cost impacts at risk. And so they do work with the council office when these things happen. And so we are communicating with their management that, once we determine a schedule and once we establish these closures, we need the crews to be committed and to stay on the job. And so that is something that we're definitely stressing and trying to get commitments on the future blocks. And that's what we're doing right now, essentially. And so once we do get those commitments, we establish the schedules, then that's when we'll be returning to the board for the additional authorizations on the future blocks. But we'd be happy to report those efforts and the coordination efforts even before we come back for the future closures.
Okay, I would appreciate that. And whatever, if we need some help from us, I mean, you guys are pretty capable of doing all of that, I'm sure. But I'm just concerned that DWP is also a big entity like us, so didn't they have other crews to send, that whole conversation? And so I'm just concerned that, we had an interruption and it's a city family. So I'll leave it at that. I just want to make sure that we let them know how important this is, especially now with this public safety issue. I'm almost feeling like we need to get in there, do the work and get out. And just kind of do that. And so this didn't help. And so I just want to make sure that we solidify that structure and that schedule so that this doesn't happen again. And on the second part of this, I want to also recommend that since you're right now reconfiguring money and funding and resources and so forth to this, can you add and adjust some funds for security, so that it can be, you guys can pay for it while you're working on these streets, on these more public safety concerning streets? And it doesn't have to be for the entire length of the project. It just has to be while we're working on these very critical streets that can cause the public safety to our personnel. So I would want to see that while you're renegotiating numbers and so forth, can you add and carve out some money for security there, whether it be private or you pay through LEPD to have somebody assigned there while you do construction, only on the times that you're doing construction, and so that it's not a big cost. And then once you leave that area, that's pretty concerning, and you go to an area that's not, then obviously you don't need the security anymore. So I just want you to put that in there as you're working this out, because I don't want, it's really hard to hear when our folks get hurt on the job. We're trying to improve the city, and so this is not something that is good to hear all around. So can we just put some measurements around that so it doesn't happen hopefully again?
Yes, and in addition to that, what we're doing is we're trying to identify some community organizations that do this type of outreach in these neighborhoods, and so we're trying to also bring on some of those organizations to work with the contractor to, on the site, be able to interact with the community there.
I agree. That's another good approach as well. But in the meantime, let's try to get some security measurements because we have to
Yes.
keep going with the work. And so I don't want interruptions to continue to happen as much as it is. Okay, so thank you for that, Arsen, and thank you for Winnie for working around that. And please send our regards on the behalf of our board to the contractors. We're genuinely concerned about that. But I'm gonna pass it over to Vice President Villegas. She wants to amend today's motion.
Madam President,
yes,
can you follow up with us what happened with the LAPD contact on this matter?
We can, maybe Arsen, you can, once that's all worked out, we can figure this out. The other issue that, unfortunately, there was a separate issue that happened with sanitation, that we can follow up with sanitation. On this specific issue, we'll.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Two different issues, unfortunately. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. But very much concerning, Dr. Davis, so to your point, concerning on both. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Vice President Villegas.
Thank you. I just wanted to make an amendment to item 1 of the recommendations and authorize the extension of the temporary full closure on 7th Street and San Julian to San Pedro Street through July 15th for the construction of the 7th Streetscape Improvement Project.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Villegas. So Dr. Campos, there's been a motion, I'm sorry, their amendment to strike June 30th and add July 15th to the recommendation number 1. Have we said it the correct way, Dr. Campos?
That is a motion. We just need a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Davis. Thank you. So there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
As amended. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll go ahead and start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous, and this is again item number 2 as amended. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Arsen. Thank you, Winnie. Keep us updated, please, and thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
All right, colleagues. Thank you. Moving us on to item number 3. This is in our council districts. This is finding to continue teleconference meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill AB 361. This is what we do every month so that we make sure that we can continue to meet via Zoom since we are still under the governor and the mayor's emergency orders. So we just have to do this every month, and every Brown Act meeting has to do it, by the way. Recommending the board to adopt the finding and determination in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that while the state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as originally proclaimed by the governor on March 4, 2020, remains active, and/or state local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing, this legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and/or state local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. Is there a second to my motion to move item number 3 forward and forthwith?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Davis, Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. Let's start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 4. This is in all council districts. This is an AFE for Community Partners for City Plans. Board of Public Works and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $150,000 to provide Department of Water and Power Energy Savings Data Management, Sampling, and Reporting Task Services as administrators for the tree planting initiative. Service for task C3-3 equal payments at $150,000 for a total of $450,000 in accordance with the fiscal years 2019-2021 Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Public Works and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power dated on August 13 of 2019. This is the final installment due to community partners for city plan services. Authorize the president or two members of the Board of Public Works to execute this expenditure. And we have a good group here. Look at that. We have Rachel and Elizabeth and Tansy. Welcome, Tansy. This is your first time here, right?
Thank you, President Garcia. Yes, this is my first time. Hello,
All right.
commissioners. I got to meet Dr. Davis at a meeting, but I haven't met Commissioners Reyes, Corsan, or Vice President Villegas. Hello.
Okay. So folks, commissioners, this is our new member to Rachel's team, and I'll let Rachel take over from now after that. But good morning. This is always so good to see you all.
Great.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Good morning, President Garcia, Commissioners, Dr. Campos, Mr. Jordan, and our Bureau representatives. We do have a robust team from the Office of Forest Management and City Plants here for you this morning for this authority for expenditure. So before you, you have this request for an AFE or authority for expenditure for community partners for city plants for their work providing energy saving reporting and oversight for the LA DWP Energy Efficiency Free Trees Program, which is managed by the Board of Public Works through an MOU between the board and LADWP. This has been a long-standing program and relationship between the board and DWP, with the current MOU having been approved by your board June 21st, 2019. Included in that MOU within task C3 of the budget, which has a total of $450,000, is $300,000 for city plants monitoring and reporting for that program. This is traditionally split between two separate payments of $150,000. The first payment of that $150,000 was approved by the board February 19th, 2021. And so for this, the second AFE, the funds for this were transferred January 14th, 2021 from DWP, the third payment for the overall program. That payment was for $1,300,000. $1.15 million was encumbered into the LACC contract, the LA Conservation Corps contract, to use for the tree planting services, with the remaining $150,000 to pay this city plants invoice for their services related to that project. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer questions. And again, we have Rachel, Elizabeth from City Plants, as well as Tansy from my office for any questions the commissioners may have.
Great. Thank you for that, Rachel. Commissioners, any questions on this item?
Yes,
Dr. Davis.
yes. Rachel, could you, my audio went out. How much did you say the expenditure is for city plant services provided?
So this AFE is for $150,000. The total amount for this MOU with DWP is $300,000, $150 of which has already been paid to city plants last year. This is the final payment for their services on the current MOU.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Any objections?
None.
None. Rachel and team, you're going to have it very easy today. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 4 forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. Let's start the voting tabulation at this time. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Yay. Thank you, Dr. Campos, and thank you, Rachel and team City Plans. It's always so good to see you all. We look forward to always working with you. So glad this is going through forward and forthwith. All right, team. Have a good, happy Friday and good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 5. This is a status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from the Bureau of Street Services. And who do we have here today?
We have Mr. Jorge Garcia.
Mr. Jorge Garcia. Ms. Reddy, you're here. Good to see you.
Hi.
Mr. Garcia, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
there he is.
So, hello, my cousin. You're on mute, though. You're on mute, Mr. Garcia. Kidding, he's not my cousin. Just for the record, he's not my cousin.
There you go. Good morning, President Garcia, commissioners, representatives, Dr. Campos, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm here for the Major Streets project updates for the Bureau of Street Services. And this information is being provided to keep the public informed on the upcoming resurfacing projects to minimize the impact on the upcoming community as well as the commuters. Streets LA would like to provide you an update on all major upcoming streets improvement projects. At this time, there is no major project scheduled for Metro or Valley regions during the week of 6/12 to 6/18. However, I'd like to provide you with an update for the 21-22 pavement preservation program. During the week of 6/12 to 6/18, the Metro region will complete 6 projects for a total of 3.7 lane miles. The Valley region will complete 8 projects for a total of 3.30 lane miles. The press releases were broadcasted. Information has been issued. Streets LA coordinated with the council district offices to assist the outreach to stakeholders and to coordinate with the City of Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. The information is also available on the Streets LA website at lacity.org. For additional information or concerns, you can contact Mr. Sherrod Nichols at 213-847-3200. That concludes my report for this week.
Great, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Any questions? Hearing none. Okay, Mr. Garcia, have a good rest of the weekend and enjoy your time. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Garcia.
Yes, thank
A
you.
lo mejor, primo.
Yeah. Sí, primo.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All
Bye.
right, moving on to item number 6. This is a grant funded programs and projects, all bureaus. Oh, that's why Ms. Reddy is here. All right, Dr. Campos, we have a list of who's here to present on this item?
We do. We have an amazing team today to present on item number 6 for the status of grant within the Department of Public Works. From the Bureau of Street Services, we have Anna Tabuena Reddy. From the Bureau of Sanitation, we have Peru Prophet. From the Bureau of Street Lighting, we have Jaime Madrigal. From the Bureau of Engineering, we have Kevin Minnie. And from the Board of Public Works, we have Mr. Norman Tenyata. The Bureau of Contract Administration has nothing to report on this item.
Okay, got it. Thank you. We'll go as follows then. We'll go with the Bureau of Street Services, Bureau of Sanitation second, following Bureau of Street Lighting, Bureau of Engineering, and lastly, Mr. Tanara, the Board of Public Works. All right, this is like a really great team here. All right, we'll start with you, Ms. Reddy.
Good morning, President, Commissioners, Board Reps, Dr. Campos, and City Attorney Ted Jordan. I'm here to present on behalf of Shirley Lau, our Assistant Director on the status of grants from Streets LA. I'm going to queue up a short slide deck so that you have a visual to follow along. Can everybody see that?
No.
Not yet, Anna, if you can just click the share screen icon.
Okay. Oh. Oops. Hold on a sec. Oh, yes. Hold on.
You guys have grown
Here
so
we
much
go.
visuals now, Ms. Reddy.
Yeah. Okay, I think here it is. Could you see that now? All good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have several grant-funded programs that Streets LA is working on under the federal and state grant programs, totaling over $200 million. The biggest one being the Active Transportation Program at $140 million. We also have the 710 North Mobility Improvement Program, the Infra Grant, CMAQ, the Clean California Local Grant Program, the Surface Transportation Program, the Highway Safety Improvement Program, and the SB1 and Caltrans Sustainable Communities Grant. Most of these are focused along transportation. However, Streets LA has been expanding to also include urban greening as part of our grant portfolio. Other grant programs for Streets LA includes the Metro Call for Projects, Measure W, which focuses on stormwater improvements, Measure M Metro Active Transport First Last Mile, and the CRA LA excess bond proceeds. All of these are about over $40 million. A lot of our active projects are in different phases of design and construction. Most of them are in design right now with over 20. So we have a total of over 15 active projects at the moment. One of our most recent awards was this past March for the Clean California Local Grant. And this is to provide urban greening, especially in disadvantaged communities of the city. The first one being Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, equity and connectivity through greening in CD9, creating urban habitat and biodiversity through median greening across multiple council districts, and the Hollenbeck Park adjacent and I-5 freeway adjacent beautification project. And you can see a rendering of an idea on the left here on our slide deck. And then currently our small and mighty team are feverishly working on submitting 6 active transportation programs, cycle 6, that's due next Wednesday. And so we are working nonstop on this. The estimated cost of projects is over $200 million. One of them is in Council District 7 that connects parks to the future East San Fernando Valley Light Rail. We also have a couple in Council District 8 on Western and on Normandy and in neighborhood streets around there. Wilmington Safe Streets in Council District 15, Skid Row and connectivity and safety project in Council District 14, and a Boyle Heights Community Connectivity Project also in Council District 14. Here is a rendering of a couple of those projects, providing, again, transportation improvements, traffic safety improvements for the city across multiple council districts. We are also collaborating with community partners on a application for the Transformative Climate Communities Grant, and it's centered also around South Los Angeles. And we are leveraging a couple of projects that we have, which is the Western First Last Mile Improvement and the Cool Pavement program improvements as part of this bigger application that involves multiple departments in the city. And I believe that concludes my presentation for today. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Rudy, for that. It was really nicely done, by the way. I like your layout and just kind of how you framed it. You guys have a lot going on, so thank you for that. Vice President Villegas.
It's just more of a comment. Thank you so much, Anna, for your presentation. It's just wanted to put things in context also. Currently, the Bureau has over $250 million in grants that they've secured, and then they're going after an additional $240 million. This just proves the point for this board to help Bureau of Street Services get their own on-call list so that we don't have delays in project delivery. That's just a statement that I wanted to make for the record. And this is close to $500 million that this Bureau is going to be able to attain. Fingers crossed, with your ATP grants. But I just wanted to make that known and stated just for the record.
Thank you so much, Vice President.
Yes, thank you, Vice President. And Anna, when I guess we should, I do support that too as well. And I've seen your grants unit grow in the past years that I've been on the board. And it's become really now like an engine, a machine, that you guys are doing. You guys have brought in so much money in the last couple of years alone. And so it's a big difference from 5 years ago when I started to now. So, and I'm very glad you're at the helm of this because you really do understand the project management for also and the grants world process that we go through. So I just want to say that Anna and Ms. Prophet and everybody here that's going to talk today are part of our grants task force as well. And so I we work around with a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing. And so I've seen BSS grow. And I really like your layout. I'm not kidding about that. So we'll have more conversations about that. I think you were really on point on making sure that we understood where you're at in all of your grants. And that's the point of this quarterly report back. Okay. All right, Ms. Any other questions for Bureau of Street Services? Hearing none. Okay, good luck on that upcoming deadline, Anna. I know that I'm not going to bug you for the rest of the week until after.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
June 16th, I'll be calling you. All right, have a good weekend. Have a good rest of the day, Anna. All right, let's go with the Bureau of Sanitation, Ms. Prophet. Ms. Prophet, how are you?
Good morning. It's almost, well, yeah, it's still morning. I think I can still say that.
Yes.
I'm doing well, President Garcia. My name is Per Prophet from LA Sanitation and Environment, and I'm here providing a briefing on LA San's comprehensive grants report for the period covering November 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2022. The report was sent to the board office last week, so I believe you should have a copy. It's a 30 or so page report that has quite a bit of detail. And I'll just give you a summary of that information here. Currently, LA San manages a grant portfolio in the amount of $33.7 million, representing 33 executed grant amendments as reflected in the active grant summary in the report. The 33.7 represents one grant totaling $3.5 million for clean water programs, 6 grants totaling $5.6 million for environmental programs listed as other, 19 grants totaling $9.6 million for the Solid Resources Program, and 7 grants totaling $15 million for our Watershed Protection Program. Details of each grant are provided in Attachment C of the report. And those details include how much we've been awarded, how much we've invoiced, how much we've received, and basic status information on each of those projects. So for your information, the report also includes details of LA San's loan portfolio in attachments B and D. Attachment E of the report shows LA San was awarded 6 grants for a total of $3 million during this reporting period. This includes environmental projects such as used oil recycling, brownfields cleanup projects, and tree planting projects. Apologies. LA San also has 5 applications that were declined during this reporting period, which are documented in Attachment F of the report. Attachment G of the report shows we are currently awaiting funding decisions for 6 applications totaling $15.7 million. I'm happy to mention that we just learned this week that LA San has been awarded 2 of those grants, including the Equitable Community Revitalization Grant from the state for up to $6.8 million for the Slauson Wall Brownfields Cleanup Project, which is in collaboration with several other city departments. We're beginning negotiations to execute those grant agreements and hope to have more information in our next semi-annual report. So with the influx of funding opportunities in the coming year as a product of the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and California Comeback Plan, LA San is aggressively researching upcoming funding opportunities and examining our programs with the intent to pursue more grants in the new fiscal year with a focus on resiliency through water recycling, solid resources recycling, as well as environmental projects. We're targeting these external funding sources with a goal of minimizing fee increases to our ratepayers. That concludes my summary of the LA San semi-annual grants report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Great. First and foremost, congratulations, Ms. Prophet. Very well deserved, and applause for that tremendous amount of work. And second, I really like the last statement you made on you're working very hard to make sure that ratepayers do not get an impact on all these projects. That is absolutely what we should always be doing. And so I really like that direction that you're taking and that sanitation's taking. Because sometimes we build projects and it's, there's an impact and we should be building projects to reduce impacts for our residents. That's what we should really be doing. But okay, enough of that. So thank you, and I appreciate all your work. Any questions for the Bureau of Sanitation? Hearing none. All right, well, Ms. Prophet, you keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, President Garcia and commissioners.
Yes, congratulations on that new award, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
Very much needed. All right, Ms. Prophet, have a good weekend. See you next week. All right, Bureau of Street Lighting. Mr. Madrigal. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, President Garcia, Commissioners, Executive Officer, City Attorney, and Bureau Representatives. I'm Jaime Madrigal from the Bureau of Street Lighting, and I will provide an update in our Community Development Block Grant Projects, CDBG for short. The CDBG program installs new street lighting system in the low to moderate income areas of the cities that have no existing streetlights. CDBG funds cover the design and construction costs. The construction phase is contingent on the majority of the affected property owners agreeing to pay for the operation and maintenance of the new lighting through the Proposition 218 balloting process. We currently have 13 projects in various stages of design and construction. 2 projects with a total of 71 units have passed Prop 218, and we are in the process of finalizing the plan. Funding for these projects totals to $1,443,922. 7 projects with a total of 227 units are in the various stages of Prop 218 process, and plans will be finalized after we receive the results. Funding for these projects totals to $4,520,167. There are 3 projects in the construction phase, one of which is 80% completed and 2 are pending arrivals of materials, with a total number of 89 units. Funding of these projects totals to $1,622,606. Since the last report, 1 project has been constructed with a total of 44 units and funding amount of $740,706. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Madrigal. Any questions for the Bureau of Street Lighting? Well, I want to commend you, Bureau of Street Lighting, because we are now really way on our way of seeking grants, and that was versus many years ago that we were not. So, Mr. Madrigal, to you, the team, and to Miguel Sangalan, I applaud you guys for now venturing into the grants world because there is making a big difference. And I know that with the direction that Miguel's taking the Bureau on making sure that we prioritize our vulnerable communities on lighting and infrastructure for internet and for that type of service, this is really important. And you guys are really making the effort to make sure that we get grants and funding for those type of special projects. So congrats to you, congrats to everybody, and keep on looking for those grants because there's a lot of money out there right now, especially around the smart city, about infrastructure and internet and the wireless community and so forth. There's a lot of that coming down the pipeline. So I just want to, I'm sure you guys are on top of it, but just giving another plug to make sure you're on top of it too.
Thank you.
And Mr. Madrigal, I don't think I've seen you in the grants task force. Maybe you should start coming as well.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Any other questions, comments? If not, all right. Well, thank you, Mr. Madrigal. Have a good rest of the weekend and enjoy. Good luck on all the grants you guys are putting together.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Second to last, Bureau of Engineering, Mr. Kevin Min. I haven't seen you in a while, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, it's still morning, commissioners and everyone. I do have a slideshow I'm going to stick on the screen here. Or Fernando, if you're able to allow me to present.
Yes,
Yeah.
you should have that now.
I see that. Okay, almost there. All right. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So good morning again, commissioners, Bureau reps, and everyone on the call. I'm Kevin Min. I oversee the Bridge Improvement Division at the Bureau of Engineering to present to status of all of our grants on our bridges. This slide here is a quick but sort of representation of the kind of grant funds that we receive through various programs, both at the federal, state, and local levels. Of note, this first line item here, the Federal Highway Bridge Program, is currently providing about $300 million a year to local bridges like ours here in the city of LA. One of the things that may be changing very soon is as a result of the federal infrastructure bill, an infusion of the extra formula dollars down to the state to increase that $300 million funding level to roughly 575. million per year for local bridges. That exact number is still being negotiated at the state level, but we're very hopeful and definitely will have more information next time I report on this, and that should help fund some of our bridges. So that's kind of one big thing that's happening kind of as we speak. We also have some funds from the 710 mobility program. This is one of Metro's programs where they repurpose funds from the canceled 710 project. I'll discuss those a little bit more in a second here. So we currently have 8 projects in design, and these are a mixture of bridges and some street projects. And the reason why the Bridge Improvement Program handles some of these street projects is the nature of the funds. Where we tend to handle large, complex federal aid funds, and we also have an on-call bench for use of federal aid funds. And so we sometimes work on projects that are very large and complex that have to deal with the federal aid process. Of note, probably the next project will be coming to the board for award to advertise would be the Glendale Hyperion Complex of Bridges. This is number 2 here on this list. We're hoping to come to the board sometime in the end of the calendar year or early next calendar year to advertise that project. And this is a project that's been in the works for like over 20 years, I think. And so we're very excited to get that through, and we're close to getting all the approvals from Caltrans to get moving on that. Another project of note, this number 8 here, Telfair, we actually did receive a $5 million federal earmark very recently in the federal appropriations bill. This was a project that is very near and dear to Council District 7, where there have been a couple youth deaths at the wash here as a result of trying to cross the wash to get to school. And so we're very excited to have received that earmark. And we come to the board soon to likely continue our design efforts and then eventually go into construction for that project. Excuse me. In construction right now, we have a Soto Street Bridge over Valley Boulevard. This is a project which is about 85% complete. The bridge itself has been widened. We have finished most of the street work leading up to the bridge. We're currently working on the railing on one side of the bridge. I believe it's the east side of the bridge. And hope to have this done by the end of the calendar year. And then, the bridge program has completed 3 projects this fiscal year. One is the San Fernando Road Bridge over bike bridge over Tunga Wash. This is a bicycle bridge that was built in conjunction with the San Fernando Road Bike Path project, which is being led by the Bureau of Street Services on behalf of the Department of Transportation. We also finished the North Spring Street Bridge Phase 2. This is mostly a new intersection that was built adjacent to the North Spring Street Bridge. And of course, we've finished the Taylor Yard Bicycle and Ped Bridge recently. So I wanted to highlight a couple projects for your information. The 710 mobility projects, we're currently in the pre-design phase for all 3 of these projects. One's on Huntington Drive, one's on Valley, one's on Eastern. And these projects are potentially going to grow significantly from what the current funding we have now. And we're in the process of potentially putting together some grant applications under the new infrastructure bill, or maybe some state programs to apply for additional funds for these projects. If you want to have any more information regarding these projects, you can visit our website at 710mobilityla.org. And you can view all the community meetings that we've had for all 3 projects, some renderings and maps and other information that could be helpful to understand more about the projects. This is the Soto Valley. This is one of the projects I just mentioned that's in construction now. We're 85% complete, and hopefully we'll be coming to the board to announce that sometime in the end of the year. And of course, some of you may have seen headlines for the Taylor Yard Bridge. This is the most recent bridge we've completed. This was in conjunction with our architectural division here in the Bureau of Engineering. And it's a really beautiful pedestrian bridge that goes over the LA River. And lastly, I wanted to spend just a moment or two discussing our future efforts. About 15 or 20 years ago, there was a large effort here in BOE to identify bridges to apply for and expend funds under a seismic bond that was available at the time, and additional funds that were available through the Highway Bridge Program. Out of those large number of bridges that were built, we've essentially built all of them with the exception of the last three, Glendale Hyperion being one, Soda Over Valley, which is in construction now, and the State Street Bridge. And so when I joined the Bureau and this division, I was kind of asking the question, well, what comes after that? What are we going to do after that? There's 500 bridges in the city. And it occurred to me that we have to do the same sort of effort that was done 15 to 20 years ago to plan for our next 15 to 20 years of bridges in this program. And so we've worked with the CAO and the mayor's office to identify some funds to help us do that planning effort. And so we're very close to issuing an NTP for the first phase of this, and we'll be coming to the board with the board report too for with more details about what we're going to do. But in summary, we want to develop an annual maintenance program for all of our bridges. This is a combination of structural repairs, graffiti abatement, cleanup, small repairs that we can do on our worst bridges now until we can find replacement funds for them, right, to maintain them, to mitigate the deterioration of those bridges. Number two, we want to prioritize all of our bridges for some of the new funding in the new bill. And one of the big things that have changed recently, right, the bill emphasizes things like equity and climate adaptation, certain safety kind of programs. So we want to use those factors to identify which of our bridges we should go after first. And then lastly, this effort will be actually applying for those grants. And so we're hoping to get somewhere between $500 and $700 million in grants over the next 5 years to fund our program. And that's an ambitious goal, but I think it's in the grand scheme of things, we actually need that money quite badly. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. Amazing everything you said. It's a lot, it's ambitious, but it's really good to hear all of that. And I was so happy to see that you included maintenance in that. So please, maintenance for all of our bridges. And that includes our very new, the 6th Street Viaduct. I want to make sure that we have maintenance ready to go on day one. And I don't know if that's even going to be possible, but let's talk about that offline, Kevin, because we're about to open a very beautiful bridge, and we don't, we want to make sure we take care of it. So that's what we're intention. Any questions, colleagues, for the Bureau of Engineering? All right, nothing. Kevin, thank you for being at the helm of this. You are very ambitious, and I'm happy to support this process that you guys have put in place, especially the 500 million grant goal that you guys have. So of course, lean on the grant task force for anything, collaborate with offices and departments, and whatever we can do as the board, please let us know.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the weekend, I should say. Thanks, Kevin. All right, now we have Mr. Tanada, the Board of Public Works. Good morning.
Hello, President Garcia, Board Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. My name is Norma Tanada with the Board of Public Works Financial Management Section. Today, I would like to provide an update on 3 grants that are currently being implemented and administered by the Board of Public Works. Before you should have received a handout, two-pager providing a summary or overview of these 3 grant programs. Did everybody get that okay? Great. Thank you. So the first grant I wanted to kind of go over with you guys today and provide a brief update is the CAL FIRE grant from the Urban and Community Forestry Program. The grantor for this program is the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, or CAL FIRE. The total award amount for this grant is $1.5 million. Expended through March 22 is $19,000, which pretty much is made up of personnel charges made by management analysts, which was approved by this grant when this grant was awarded to the board. In regards to the project description of this grant, the Office of Forest Management will use this funding to develop and adopt the city's urban forest management plan, complete the city's tree inventory for the city of LA, and plant 400 trees in high need areas. In regards to the brief status update for this program, as part of the match requirement, the milestone of planting 400 trees has been completed. The Office of Forest Management is finalizing the scope of work for the technical consultant and anticipate the release of the task order solicitation during mid to end June of 2022. The Office of Forest Management is also in the process of developing the MOU and joint scope of work for community engagement with LA County and will be coming before the board for approval when contract language is approved by the city attorney. That concludes my update for this particular grant. The second grant I wanted to provide an update to the board is the California for All Youth Workforce Grant. This again is a California for All Youth Workforce Grant. The agency grantor's name is the State of California Office of Governors, California Volunteers. These grant funds are derived from federal stimulus funds associated with the recovery from COVID-19 pandemic to build on the efforts of the California Volunteers to establish a statewide volunteer corps to help with the state's response to emergencies and disasters. The mayor's office, in conjunction with the Economic and Workforce Development, was able to secure a total of $53.2 million in youth employment programming for the city of Los Angeles. The intent for this $53.2 million is to provide approximately 4,000 employment opportunities through June 2024, which is the term of this grant. These opportunities are for youth between the ages of 16 and 30 that have difficulty finding employment, or are low income, or are unemployed, or are out of school, or are justice involved, or are transitioning from foster care, or are engaged with mental health or in a substance abuse system program. Included in this $53.2 million were 6 agencies that received allocations, first being the mayor's office, second being the Economic and Workforce Development Department, third being the Board of Public Works, fourth being the Community Investment and Families Department, or CIFD, fifth being the Department of Rec and Parks, or RAP, and sixth being the Youth Development Department, or YDD. Again, the total of this $53.2 million is broken up by 14 projects. Of the 53.2, approximately 15.2 has been allocated to the Board of Public Works for 4 projects. As outlined in the report, the first project is for the Clean LA program with a grant allocation of $8.9 million with an enrollment goal of hiring 200 youth. The second is the LA River Rangers program for an allocation of $5.2 million and with enrollment goals of 127 youth. The third being LA Community Composting with an allocation amount of $594,000 and the enrollment goals of hiring 12 youth. And the fourth and last program associated with this grant is the Edible Food Waste Recovery Program with an allocation of $504,000 with the enrollment goal of hiring 3 youth. Also included in this $15.2 million was the approval of 4 positions to help the board administer this program. These are the principal project coordinator, senior MA1, a management assistant, and a project assistant. Currently, these 4 programs will be under review before and put before the Civil Service Commission, I believe in June 23rd. Once allocated, the positions will be filled as soon as possible to continue the project administration and implementation of these 4 programs. In regards to a brief update on each of the individual program, in regards to the Clean LA program, eligible participants will begin transition from the current Clean LA program funded by the LA City General Fund to this grant program, hopefully by the beginning of July or the end of August. Anticipated enrollment for the LA River Rangers program is expected January 2023 or sooner. And currently we're in program design for the LA Community Composting program, and the Edible Food Waste Recovery program is currently underway. So that provides my update for the second grant. Lastly, I wanted to provide an update on funding from the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Programs, or HAP. This is the mobile pit stop, mobile shower, and skid row cleaning programs. This has a project start date of July 1st, 2021, with a project end date of June 30, 2024. This again is from the state of California, and the total grant award amount is approximately $11.8 million, with 8.1 expended to date. Again, the mobile pit stop and mobile shower programs aim for providing the essential hygiene services, restroom and mobile shower services to the homelessness population citywide. The Skid Row cleaning program focuses on the litter abatement and cleaning services in the Skid Row area. Also, all 3 programs are served as the workforce development programs for the local homelessness and formerly incarcerated population. In regards to completed metrics to date, you'll see a table there outlining the accomplishments or metrics completed through March 2022. For the mobile pit stop program, you'll see that a total of 924,000 patrons have been served. For the mobile shower program, a total of 10,700 patrons have been served. In regards to the Skid Row cleaning program, roughly 35,000 bags of trash have been collected, 17,000 needles have been collected, 2,200 bulky item collection calls have been made, and 1,600 graffiti cleanups have been made to OCB. So this concludes my presentation of the current 3 grant programs that the board are currently overseeing and implementing. As President Garcia mentioned, the board does continue to as chaired by President Garcia, host the Public Works Grants Task Force meeting on a monthly basis. A lot of the faces you saw earlier today, we continue to meet with on a monthly basis, to provide collaboration, to inform each other of any grants that are, coming down the pipeline that maybe not necessarily might be associated with the board, but maybe other bureaus might be interested in. So we kind of use that as a avenue to, to share information with each other. Also, the grants unit itself within the board, which consists of myself and another position, we continue to see grants for other offices as we work with the CAO's office on, as mentioned earlier, on the several IIJA and Come Back Better Plan grants as well. So hopefully, although this is a 2-page report, as we move forward, this becomes a robust and list of reports like BSS and BOS, hopefully one day, one grant at a time.
I like your goal, Norman. I like your ambition there. Let's I'll work with you on that too. I don't know about 500 million, but hey, you're right. One grant at a time. BOE, we're competing with big guys. You know that, right? Sanitation, BSS, BOE. Wow. All right, Norman. I like your style. Any questions for Norman on the Board of Public Works grants update? All right, hearing none, Mr. Tanada, thank you for your report and have a good rest of the weekend. We will be in touch. Thank you for everything you do for the Grant Task Force as well.
And thank you everybody for your support.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, that is the last of our reports, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct. You have cleared the desk.
I have cleared the desk. All right, colleagues, it is Friday at 11:41 and this meeting is officially now adjourned. If you can do 5 minutes and then we'll do a really quick touch bases of management meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.